back to the Unboxable Unstoppable Podcast with me, Alena Shares. I am very excited to be coming to you today. I feel like I haven't spoken to you guys, you beautiful podcast listeners, for a while. I've got a few things to share. I try not to script this too much. I try to just have a really big old chat with you. If you want to see more about actually what I do, you can head to Soul Mama Hub, SoulMamahub.com, to support this free resource that I give to the world. And you can subscribe there. You can also get a free download there about getting your mojo back when you feel like it's kind of left the building. It's very simple. It's just a one-pager. You can also find me on Instagram at Soul Mama Hub. And that about sums it up. But yeah, I love your support and I love being able to keep sharing these valuable insights, both from me and also from amazing people all over the world. Also message me if you'd like to be on the podcast. I really do love having people on and chatting about the ways that you live an unboxable, unstoppable life. I feel like it's something that is a worthy goal for many of us, especially as we emerge through motherhood. So today I'm really here to share about the first week of school of my third child and all of the interesting observations and I guess insights that have gathered around that. Also, I turned 50 last week, which has been an interesting experience, and maybe the two are colliding and intersecting a little. So my youngest boy is the product of a kind of miraculous fertility journey that lasted about 4 years, from the birth of my daughter when I was aged 41 to the birth of him in Bath in England when I was aged nearly 45, so just a month shy of 45. And of course they wanted to make me into the category of a geriatric pregnancy. Well, obviously they did at the hospital. That's what it's called when you have children when you're in your mid-40s these days. So that was also an interesting experience, and I'll share about that in another podcast. But essentially, my little boy is a bit of a miracle to us, and it's easy to forget that. But this week I've been keenly aware of it, mainly because he's going to school, and it marks such a milestone and such a line in the sand in terms of developmental stages for children. He has been going into 2 different daycares, a local co-op kindergarten, which was amazing over the last year. Well, he wasn't there all that much because of the year that was. And he's also been at a beautiful childcare facility in our local Diggers Club, which is like a returned servicemen's club, I suppose. But he's had a really interesting experience there. An amazing woman runs it, and in our local area, which is near Freshwater in the Northern Beaches, we've been very blessed. They had just opened, and it was run by a really beautiful, visionary, quite young woman with 4 kids of her own, who really does an incredible job of providing a safe space for children and also the people that work with children, and a very beautiful space. So we were very lucky that he could go there when we moved here when he was 18 months old till just before school, now that he's nearly 5. In Australia, well, he's 5. In Australia, you go to school aged around 5. A lot of people hold their children back a bit later now. So anyway, my youngest, little Cole, he has had a really interesting start to school because he's sort of confident and sort of not. So he kind of feels a little bit tentative around new experiences, especially around big groups of people, which, because it's quite a large school, all of the introduction to school has been around big groups of people at the beginning of the day. And he's done very well, I must say, but you can see it's challenging for him. And what I really noticed, and I was posting about it this week, is that as we walked into school on his first day of school, his first full day of school, just about everybody said one of 2 things. Either, are you excited, to both me and to him, or are you happy? And they both seemed like very, I guess, limited ways to sum up how we were feeling. There was a whole lot of feelings going on for us, and it was so interesting that the habit, and I don't blame anyone for having this habit. It's perfectly natural to tend towards the positive and to tend towards the optimistic, and I do that too. But to ask someone, how are you, or how are you feeling, is a very different question to, are you happy or are you excited? And now, as you would know from the title of this podcast, you know, containers and boxes and things that are too small for me are not my favourite thing. And I did feel like there was a lot more going on for me than happiness or excitement. And I started to sense that maybe for a lot of us, there's some big feelings happening at the moment, maybe as a result of the last couple of years, a very high level of uncertainty. A lot of people have lost things that they loved, people, jobs. And I'm not being flippant about this at all, but there's been some big losses in our world. Most of all, we've lost certainty, we've lost security and the ability to travel to see family. And a lot of people have lost their livelihood. There's a very different tone in the world at this time. And I feel like now that things are beginning to open up and we are starting to learn to live with this virus that has overtaken our world and live with different responses to it and different experiences around it, maybe there's a little bit of breathing space and maybe there's a bit of an ability to start to feel the feelings we haven't had time or space to feel over the last couple of years. Now, I've spoken to a few people about this and it seems to be something that a few people relate to that I've had in my circle, and I really do feel like now is the time we want to allow ourselves to feel all the feels and recover and rejuvenate and integrate and process all of the things that have been going on and start to really bring into our consciousness how we can adapt. Now, humans are very adaptable creatures. It's how we've become. Homo sapiens have survived other sort of humanoid creatures because I'm not sure of the language here. It's really not my area, but I read an amazing book called Homo sapiens, and my understanding is that the way that Homo sapien dominated is basically through communication and adaptation. So here I am communicating about adapting, but I really do believe that at the essence of our being is the ability to adapt. And now is a really good time to remember that and to bring into our lives the ability to hold a bunch of emotions, not just the positive ones, but all of the ones we consider to be in the shadows of our being as well. And through that, I feel that we will actually be able to not just survive, but thrive from these experiences. I know that historically, I'm a student of history, in fact, it's my degree, and historically, there's been eras of great fun and joy and creative freedom following great tragedies. You can look at the interwar period, you can look at the post-war period. There's lots of periods in our history where the era that follows great change and loss of human life is a very interesting one. So that's the era that we may be approaching now. And I feel like to really dumb it down into you just need to be happy is robbing us of a whole richness of experience. So how does that relate to starting school? Well, on that day, I actually felt really sad and a bit pissed off that everyone wanted me to be just happy and excited, and that's all. And I really couldn't. And I really had so many other feelings. I felt a deep level of gratitude. I felt a sadness at, my little boy is launching into the world, and that sort of is a grieving process for the littler boy, the little toddler, and the baby, and also for me as a mother moving into the next stage. And us, we moms, we have to kind of adapt all the way through our children's lives and adapt as parents and as people and grieve the little ones they were before. It's just natural part of what we do. So I really felt the need to stop and reflect. I also was, I guess, already in reflective mode because of my 50th birthday. So it's been a really interesting week, and there's been a lot of layers. And when someone says to me now, how are you feeling? Someone close, someone that I can say the honest truth to, I'm just saying, well, there's a lot of levels. There's a lot of layers to what I'm feeling at the moment. There's a lot of integration going on. There's sadness. There's happiness and joy and gratitude. There's a kind of a degree of pissed offness that I haven't really been able to go and see some of the people I love in other parts of the world, that there's members of my immediate family living in other parts of the world and I haven't seen them for years. There's nieces and nephews I haven't met. So yeah, I'm having feelings about that. Overall, I know I'm really well off and I'm really in a privileged position. It doesn't mean that I don't have any feelings. I feel grief for those vicariously that haven't weathered this well, that have lost. I feel grief for my aunt who died last week. There's so many things going on. So in this way, I just want to say that it's completely allowed and it's 100% normal to not feel one thing when all of this is going on. And please do allow yourself some space for all of that and some connection and some honesty. And let's afford those same expansive and spacious opportunities to those around us, to those we know and those we don't know. And let's allow ourselves to process and integrate and feel all the feelings we need to feel in order to move on. So that's my little 2 cents worth. I hope that wasn't too ranty today. I do sometimes get on a bit of a mission like, come on guys, let yourself have feelings, it's okay. So that's the 2 cents worth. And for those who do have children starting school and starting kindergarten, what an incredible thing. You know, they're having big feelings, our children, we're having big feelings. Just take it easy, go gently and enjoy. It's such an incredible milestone. All right, sending out lots of love. Hit me up on socials or send me a message with the notes. In the show notes, you can find me. And I would love to hear from you how you are really going. Please, if you have no one else to tell me. Okay, lots of love. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.